Hi.
Okay.
Quite nervous because everyone's been really amazing.
I'm hilarious. So
And we're normally the
we'll
funny
try.
ones, so can you just laugh? We make a magazine called Mushpit. It looks like this. It hasn't always looked like this.
These were the teeny zine ones that we made back in 2011. And they were this small, and we spent all our student loan to make them. And then we went for this weird size, which is obviously the crap one.
Yeah, so it was like all A4 here because that's what we could afford. And we got them printed on Essex Road, and we sort of just made it out of the love of making it and pure mad joy of it, of like expressing ourselves. Then we tried to become legit and made a disgusting one with adverts. And then we made some good ones. The last of which is actually stocked in foils. So she's really happy about that. We're also really happy about that.
And Japan and Europe, so it's a big deal. This issue 6 was shot by Tyrone Le Bon, which we show off about loads. Issue 7 was shot by Alice Neal, and this is by Eloise Parry. This was like when we did the first kind of big format one and kind of got legitimate and people took us a tiny bit more seriously.
Yeah, so, oh, very loud. We've been described as confident, silly, satirical, and fiercely political in places. We've also been described as ugly, untidy, and cheap. That's actually quite kind. We've been described as way worse than that, and personally as well.
A graphic designer's worst nightmare, which isn't up there, but yeah.
It all started with a student loan. So we would like to officially thank the Conservative government because we're never going to pay that back.
This is very early days when we used to shoot people on our digital camera and photo booth and have parties to pay for it. This is us just showing off a bit, I guess.
Yeah, so we basically we made this transition where we started off really zany A5, kind of figuring out InDesign as we went. Neither of us have any kind of formal training in design, as you can probably tell. Or I'm a writer, Charlotte's a stylist, and we were sort of making it up on the outside of working in fashion. And we developed it over about 5 years from a zine that we supported from throwing parties and getting a cut of the bar, quite a small cut, to now having kind of what looks like a normal glossy magazine, but the reality of it is it's completely independent, it's ad-free. We're really interested in having quite a reliable dialogue with our reader where we're not trying to sell her anything. We talk about things that really affect her. But having no adverts is quite problematic for us because we also have no money and we also don't have student loans anymore. So how do you make that work? Wait, go back to our brain.
Okay, this is our brain.
So this is our brain, and this is kind of where we're at now. It looks like it says we're 28, but we're not. We're 26. And this is kind of, so as a fashion magazine which is trying to like explode ideas of industry and kind of like classic, that capitalist model of like selling adverts and shooting full looks, if anyone works in fashion, they'll know what we're talking about, into something which could be inspirational and in a way anarchic, is where we're at now. And these are the sort of questions that we ask ourselves. Should we sell our souls? Who would even buy our souls? I don't know.
Maybe no one.
Maybe no one, which is kind of sad. How do we grow it into something? So these are
some examples of
why we can't grow.
Yeah.
Because advertisers don't love that we have full frontal pictures of vaginas in the magazine, or ad campaigns about wanking with a shower.
And then, or also fictitious trend reports on Migrant Chic, which was actually pulled a lot from a
real,
very famous website that we won't mention, and brand, but maybe
Vogue
you can
Runway.
guess.
Harder.
This is also our fictitious Wetherspoons Works, which is a kind of play on another brand who does a particular works, and they have working studios, so we made our own, and complete with iPhone photos from the local Wetherspoons.
So it's all kind of like, it's satirical definitely, but it also plays into things which are affecting us in our daily lives, and how as freelancers we're being told that we should be paying £600 a month to rent like a roving desk space in a weird works. Everyone knows what we're talking about, so whatever. So like what we kind of use quite light humour to make what we hope is a heavier point. This is a planning notice. It says putting the social in social cleansing. We actually put them up, well we didn't, the people that did it at Finn and Maria put them up in Aldgate. You can't read it, unfortunately, which means you'll probably just have to buy the magazine. But it says, erection of mixed-use development comprising of very expensive shit, essentially.
This is some more, so this is also, we branched out in issue 7, which was the issue before this one. Obviously, we were quite depressed by the election, so we thought instead of moaning about it, we would create our own political party, New Labour. Obviously, everyone gets the pun. And these are our pledges for 2020, and then obviously we made some t-shirts and everyone bought them, and this is basically our shadow cabinet.
Yeah. We haven't registered yet as an official political party, but I feel like if we did, we'd have quite a lot of clout.
Yeah.
We have like about 15 members.
This is kind of where it gets tricky. Obviously, every independent magazine has this problem, like whether to get adverts, whether to get a benefactor.
Yeah.
We flirted with adverts in issue 5, which is the weird-sized issue that we didn't like. And actually, the advertiser we had at the time told us not to put a girl on the front cover who now is very famous for her kind of like feminist attributes, and it was because she had armpit hair. And that kind of was a learning curve for us,
Yeah.
and that we didn't want to,
You basically realised quite
compromise.
early on that you either prioritise having stability and having adverts, or you prioritise having editorial freedom. And so what's interesting to us is trying to not even strike a balance actually, but like figure out how you can keep the magazine kind of separate from that whole thing. And we sort of psell our own personal souls doing consulting so that we can keep this totally free. And
or just work out whether the trade-off works for you. Obviously, some brands would work and some wouldn't.
Yeah.
And also, you can have a secret benefactor, and that would be like the ideal thing. Anyone?
so we have fake adverts instead because they're a lot more fun. This was done by Sung Chua from the RA.
Yeah, she's an artist, and she kind of like set up fake still lives. She worked in a shop in Germany, and then she realised they weren't selling any perfume, so she was like, I'll just make for their kind of counterfeit perfume. So she was like, I'll just make a series of adverts for you, basing on like very famous still life adverts anyway. And they ended up selling loads, and then we put them in our magazine.
And they're very beautiful. Some more examples. Jonathan Barron, who used to do Baron and now Baroness magazine, he made a series of adverts for the previous issue. This is an advert for New Labour. We made kind of eco t-shirts that we sold through Instagram, which was quite fun to see people wearing them, although it does make me a bit uncomfortable. This is another example of a product. We always have products in Mushpit, so this is a Tinkle Be Gone, because I have a very loud toilet, and it was kind of distressing me. So we created this product which would silence the wee, a wee silencer. And then that's quite self-explanatory. Jeans just hurt vaginas, so.
So this is how we do fashion, which is very different from all the fashion titles, even though we kind of get put on amongst them on the shelves. But I think it's why people come to us and why we have an exciting roster of photographers. This is by Claudia Sinclair, who is actually a stylist, but we came up with this kind of concept together where she put designer bags, which we borrowed legitimately for the first time without me lying through the magazine I used to work for. So we had Dior and Chanel handbags in toilets and train toilets.
Like kind of the real places that they would end up being
Yeah.
if you had one, next to Soluro.
This is our shadow
I think this
cabinet.
is my favourite.
Yeah.
This is like my favourite shoot we've ever done, where we, using Instagram again, like we connect with our readers a lot through that. We cast a whole story of people that had bought either badges or t-shirts or magazines from us. And yeah, we sort of created the New Labour shadow cabinet, and they all had objectives, and we put them all in power suits. And it's really strong, I think. This is the cover story.
Eloise Parry, who is a young female photographer who we worked with like from kind of very early Mushpit stages. All the girls, in terms of casting, it's very important that we kind of use street cast or people that we know, not like models from model agencies, and also that it means something. So this is kind of all about like reflection, and it's one of our favourite stories.
Yeah, it's kind of unique as well that because we don't have advertisers, we can use the back cover as well as the front cover, so we always play around with how those two can kind of get on. So we do a lot of doubling. This was about, because the issue theme was motherhood, so this was about motherhood but minus the man, which was good. So she had an egg. The egg looks, I mean, it's a real, kind of real egg.
Yeah, And we made like a homemade nest that was kind of all about like a domestic setting, but a man-made nest, and we kind of were very obsessed with this idea throughout the magazine. This is our male centerfold.
This really upped the print cost. Wasn't fun for us. But they all have a poster, and then it has cats on the back. We've always had a male centerfold since the first issue. It harks back to that whole kind of J17, Bliss, Ms, Sugar. We're really inspired by early girl mags. We love the kind of tone of voice that they had. It felt so familiar when we were reading them. I think we both, when we met and started talking about it, they had been the magazines that we really remembered enjoying reading. And then kind of more recently, not more recently in time-wise, but then we found Cheap Date, which was sort of more grown up. And that was equally inspiring. But it's this whole feeling of like, there's a humour there and it's directed towards women. So the male centerfold just makes perfect sense. And then we also have writing as well as all of that. So this is an article that I wrote for the most recent issue, which is about the Margaret Pike Centre, which is a sexual health clinic in King's Cross, which actually got shut down about 2 weeks ago, but this was about trying to save it. Sadly.
Then also at the bottom you can see the different contraceptive reviews. So there was Jeremy Hunt as one.
Yeah, we made some devices. Alternative devices. You can't really see that. That's a cocktail umbrella. That's Jeremy Hunt.
That's an anchor.
And a champagne cork.
Yeah.
Because those would work. Reba Mabry did a column about how to masturbate and why you should masturbate every day.
And she made a playlist, which was very good listening if you're interested.
And then people like Clive Martin, who have been contributing. I mean, Clive is an amazing writer, and he's kind of gone from strength to strength in his career, but actually Mushpit published him first.
Yeah, and this is a take on like New Lad, obviously, which was like massive, and he got paid loads of money for another publication to do New Lad, so he thought it would be quite funny to do his new take on it, which is New Dad.
Which is sort of the Danny Dyer-esque.
Yeah, which is what everyone's dressing like now. Like Adidas is out, and then Stoline and Polar Necks are in.
Very much.
This is our agony aunt, Harriet Burney, complete with her own helplines.
Yeah.
She's our terrible agony aunt who gives really bad advice.
Absolutely dreadful advice about never using a condom. And then our classifieds, which are almost entirely fictitious. And us.
Yeah, and then
a bit more stuff that we do when we have the time. So we sell things, we talk about stuff, we sit at places and do this. We also did an event recently called Panic Buy, which was a second-hand kind of clothing bonanza, which fits really well with our ethos, and it's all about, you know, people coming and being able to buy something for £5 from someone that they recognise off Instagram and want something out of their wardrobe, and recycling and making you feel good. So we did that. Next is this.
Bye.
And that's it.
Thanks.